All right, so we're on now, boys. Rat, you want to start us off for the queue?
I don't care. That's fine with me.
All right, you can start there, Rat.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm not looking at the sheet and everything right now, but I mean, or everything about the queue. But right now, we got the queue is a really tough division that I'm looking at. I mean, with Victoriaville and you got the Huskies are in there. Hold on, there's so many good teams out there. It's crazy. Hold on, trying to bring up get my phone to work here. Shoot. All right. Well, like I said, so you get the Huskies, you get that are pretty good. They're 28-6 right now. I mean, with 50 points, and then you got Valdor, and then you got the Vultures, and then I'm myself. But then you got the QMJ, Islander, and Moosehead Screaming Eagles that are doing pretty good. I can't say all about all different teams, but I think it's just going pretty good over here. What do you think?
I think one of definitely some of the challenges are probably in the queue this season are definitely Valdor, the Islanders, and the Huskies. They've been doing well. I know for my team we've done well. We had like a little rough week, but we're still third in our division in the queue. But I think overall, like the Huskies and the Tigers and them, they're always like this season. They're going to be tough teams to beat, and those three teams will probably stay the top three between them. Between the Islanders, Huskies, and Tigers, so they might switch positions in between each other, but I don't expect them to go any lower than where they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I haven't been able to. I mean, we went up against the Islanders so far, and we have not been able to beat them. I mean, the Huskies, I think we lost twice against them, and I mean, was there another good team? I mean, it's just, I mean, we beat Valdor already once, so they're not that hard to beat. But it's the three, like you said, the Huskies, Islanders, and Tigers are the top teams right now. They got some good players in there.
And the thing is, which I find funny, where I was just talking about how they're the top teams. I actually play almost. I think this week's going to be one of the hardest weeks. The Ramparts are playing Islanders, Valdor, Victoriaville, and Rimouski, and the Huskies this week.
Right. Yeah, we got.
So I think
Gatineau.
This week's going to be a tough week. Yeah, we play Gatineau too.
Yeah, because we got Gatineau, Olympics, Phoenix, Cataract, Saglins, Valdor, Dakar, Vultures, Islanders, Sea Dogs. Or no, I'm sorry, not Sea Dogs, just Islanders. So I mean, our tough one right now is Islanders and Sea Dogs and Valdor.
Rat, how do you think? Have you had any of your TCs do any of the red and blue TC games?
Yeah, I had a few guys do them, like Boston Arrow. He's been doing them left and right. He does them. If I'm not mistaken, he's probably in them tonight. He does them all the time.
Do you have they talked to you about any of it, or have they just?
No, they have not said anything about it. But I mean, he's got. I've looked at his stats and everything. He's got 14 points in I think, what was it? I'm gonna have to go back and look, but I think he's got like 14 points in like 6 games, I think it is. But there's a few other guys that go in, like I've got what the heck is the new goalie that we just picked up? He's been doing it. He's not doing bad, but he can do better. But it just depends on who he's with.
Do you think that having the TC games is a good thing to show owners the hidden talent behind some of the TCs?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I would. I mean, that's right now. That's the best thing for them right now. I mean, that's the best way they could show how to get on roster. You know, I mean, they're not. It's right now trying to get on roster for the team is the hardest thing ever right now. Because you know you got some good players on your team, and then when you move up and down, you got to figure out which TC you got, and you go back and look at you know, the TC games that they played, which guy was better, and then you go from there.
Yeah. Wolf, you want to start talking about the OHL?
The O is
then,
a hell of a
yeah.
fucking place to be right now. It's tighter than a nun's asshole on. It's absolutely ridiculous. You kind of look at the talent. You look at the talent pool that kind of exists here, and it's staggering. Especially, I mean, that's like the going into the playoffs. It's going to be. I'm excited. I mean, I'm in the O, and I'm excited to see what the hell is going to happen in the East. It's going to be absolutely crazy.
What do you think are the hardest teams that the toughest teams that are out there in the O right now?
Mississauga. I mean, just off the bat, having like 2 solid weeks in a row, putting up a 9-0 in that first week is, absolutely massive. But Jayhawks put a good team together. They look real solid. I think my second team, I guess, probably be Spitfires. Third team, I mean, real close to Spitfires, probably the Petes. All those guys just look. But I mean, if you look at any of the divisions in the O, including my own in Central, I mean, we're separated by a couple of points here and there. There's
a couple teams that are hurting a little bit, but most of you guys are all, from what I can see, because I'm just looking at it right now, most of you guys are all pretty close in points.
It's one of those. It creates an interesting atmosphere, I think, when you play in a super tight league like this. You get this good feel for it's a night in, night out. It's almost like playoff hockey. You're kind of looking, you're jostling constantly. It makes the league fun. It makes an extra level of competitiveness, I guess. I mean, but I like it. I'm enjoying myself so far. Coming back as I was an interim owner last season, and I came back this season for my first full season as an owner, and it's definitely, there's a big learning curve for sure, especially when you're going up against talented teams night in, night out. I got to be a little bit of a fanboy because I saw the poll posted earlier about the best division in CHL. And overall, I think the league itself, the O runs the CHL, period. I think I put any team in the O against any team in the Q or the W right now, and we're probably going to walk away with one.
Yeah, no, for sure. Dave and you guys want Dave and Ice, you want to talk about the W?
Well, I think the WHL is definitely looking a little more even spread through up and down the lineups that you're looking at, because most teams, some of the teams have stepped away, like Regina, Brandon. They're doing pretty well. So is Kelowna down in the BC division. Winterhawks, as usual, they've been consistently at the top of their division. So you get those few teams, but then like you look at the Central and a few good teams there. Kootenai just taking the top of the division here at the end of week 4, but through that division, it's a pretty tight points race. Even if you look down at the wild card race, you see all the teams are pretty poised that they can, if they can put a week or two together of decent wins and stuff, they could definitely shift the point spread.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that, Zeus. Definitely would say that our U.S. division here in Seattle, say the Winterhawks pretty much are the team that we're going to have to beat enough. I know we've beaten them a few times. I know there's some other teams in the WHL that are the top there that we can beat, as well as your team as well. It's going to be a tight race, I believe, in the W for top spot in the playoffs.
Oh, exactly, and especially with even the guys like I said earlier in the wild card race, even the guys that are just on the edge of the wild card race, it's quite a tight points race. So any team can really make a push or a move, can really accumulate some points and make a road or a drive to the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you 100%. Being first year GM full time and with my owner as well, being first year owner, I think we've put a solid team together. Our last 2 weeks have been pretty solid. We went 7-2-1, I believe, in week 3. And week 4, the week that just finished, we went 6-3. So, I think we're going to make a pretty good push for the playoffs on our side of things.
Yeah, and second year owner of the Kootenai Ice. Last season we were on the bubble as a team and didn't make the playoffs. But it's nice to see a turnaround myself this year, fighting for a playoff spot. I wouldn't say we're going to try and take the division, but it's definitely going to be a tight points race in my division. What about that there, NBA?
What's it called? What do you guys think in like the what do you guys think, like, the hardest team that you guys would have to face in the W?
My opinion, the hardest team, I would say the Pats. To be honest, they're a solid core group of guys. We played them a few times, and they play really extraordinary hockey as a team as a whole. I think they're going to be the hardest ones to beat, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you there with the Pats and the Winterhawks as well. They're going to be a tough team to beat as well. I know that you get to see them a lot more than I do, but they've usually walked away with the win. So maybe this year we'll change it.
Pats
definitely, they're a good team to play against. A really hard team to play against.
Yeah.
Hey, that's mine.
Rat, you still there?
Yeah. I'm sure.
Because I know you're one of the teams that have been. This will be your second time to the DC tournament that we run on the weekends, correct?
Exactly. This is last week, my first week getting into it. I didn't get into it yet. I didn't sign up for it this time because like I said, because of St. Patrick's Day and all that, everybody was doing things. And, my guys, they all the guys that I know that play, in the red and blue game, I'm sure they signed up. They need somebody there because there's so much stuff going on this week, with St. Patrick's Day and, plus me with this damn mouth problem I got going on right now. It's insane.
How do you find that it was set up with the 8 teams? Did you like the way that me and Brad set it up, or is there like anything that you think should be changed?
That was a great setup. You guys, between you and Brad, you guys did a pretty good. Right when the games were done and over with, he went right back into the sheet and let everybody know who they were playing. and um, let everybody know what time. I mean, he let everybody know what the game was by the sheet. You know, the time they were playing. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it turned out pretty good. I mean, I like to know what the the 22 or 21 teams you guys got going now. I mean, like I said, if it wasn't so busy for St. Patrick's Day, I would have got into it. But
Exactly, I'm the same boat.
I'm sure that's going to turn out pretty good.
Yeah, we got we went so the first time we did it, we had 6 teams the first week we did it. It went
Right.
good. And then we jumped up to 8 teams. And then now this week I think we have, because one team dropped out, I think we have 21 teams for the TC tournament.
I mean, that might be a little. It might be a little rougher because I mean, but it's like it's you and Brad doing doing the work, but
Yeah.
that ought to be a little rough for you guys watching every team, plus you got to go over the stats and everything,
Yeah.
that'll be a little rough for you guys.
It's gonna be a little tricky this time. But Big Green
I mean,
just came and joined us. Green, you there?
yeah, I like the sounds of it. I mean, I'm gonna, watch the games and everything, see how it goes. I mean, I thought it's a great idea doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that you guys are running these kind of tournaments and getting the exposure out there, because I know that the TCs are really wanting to be on rosters and stuff, and they want to get their names out there.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I've had nothing but positive feedback from my TCs on my side of things. They're loving it. They like it. It's going to be my first week in this tournament. Other than that, yeah.
I'm excited to try and get in a later one.
Yes. Yeah, we do them every Thursday is what we're gonna try and do. Yeah, Green, you here? You just finished your TC game. I know that you were in OT.
Yeah, just finished my OT game there. Red 154.
You've played in a lot of the TC games as well as I. Would you like to kind of like, we went over it a little bit, but you want to give your opinion on the TC games?
Oh, I think it's an awesome thing. TCs are loving it, getting nothing but good feedback from it. TCs are getting experience and they're getting stats. So if they ever want to move up to roster or next season, if they're trying to make a team, they at least have stats to show for themselves.
I'm surprised this year for having a lot of active TCs. Usually I'm spending most of the weeks sending out the league warnings and stuff, seeing who's active and inactive. But this year it's definitely nice to have a full roster of active TCs that want to play and stuff.
Yeah, I think what's helping them is definitely having the TC games and the tournaments, because they feel like they're kind of part of their own team because they're getting to play a lot more.
Yeah. Is there any thought of somebody maybe creating like a small league, like a couple nights a week or something like that?
Actually, that's what me and Brad were thinking, but we also talked about how it would be hard just for me and him just to kind of do it by ourselves type thing.
Yeah, no, I understand. You need your own set of.
Yeah, for sure. Having only 2 guys running it, like we were thinking about it, but then having 2 guys running a league is.
I think I don't mean to interject, but I think if you get enough people that are willing to kind of set that up, it'd be a good testing ground for something like ECHL. I think we could benefit from having like another minor kind of included for the team.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Like you'd have a full TC roster, and you could even you'd have at least a full, maybe even 17, maybe 12. I don't know how you'd want to set a roster size, but like if you could have that many guys available.
I think that's a great way to do it. I think you start small. You get 2 or 3 dedicated people to actually oversee it. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, same.
No,
But
I like
yeah,
the
just
fact
at the
you guys
start, it
take
was
your time setting this up and trying to work through the kinks.
yeah. Because I think that's why we're not having, in my opinion, having this stuff is what's keeping those all the TCs this year active, because they have something to look forward to at the end of the week.
Yeah.
I think that ECHL idea is a super smart idea.
Well,
Yeah.
like even if they did the EC or what you guys are talking about, why don't you let the TC, if you get enough team, why don't you get like some of the TCs like be the owner of the team? You know what I mean?
That's at like
Trying to
last
run it.
week in the tournament we had a TC. I forget what team he's on, but he ran a team in the tournament because we needed an extra team, and he ran a team.
Blue or whatever.
No, I think he ran team red. It was Evil. I can't remember his full gamer tag.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, but he.
But wasn't the guy that was for Team Blue? Wasn't he TC as well?
What was that, Rhett?
I don't know. I feel like there's a big fallout with TCs in this league just because they don't understand the circumstance of the fact that this is like an established community. This is a competitive community. There's kind of a hierarchy of how things are supposed to work. There's a lot of guys that sign up and they don't understand that fact. And they come in, they bring in their club mentality, like, oh, I play with all my boys. I'm hot shit. I'm going to be able to do whatever I want to do and play wherever I want to play. And there's got to be a system in place to kind of quell that. And I use quell as I kind of loosely. I'd say you just need to kind of breed that out of people. You got to let them know that, hey, like this is a good.
Totally understand that. Yeah, because there's I got a couple people on my team that haven't had conversations with, and it's like, guys, you guys got to understand, like, maybe you're not a fit for the team, maybe the roster is set, maybe like there's circumstances they've got to understand, like they got to get into a
and I think again, I think if you create an environment for that, it kind of helps, right? Because I came in, TCs don't know that you spent 3 weeks scouting. TCs don't know that you spent hours and days cultivating to draw up a bidding list and all this kind of shit. No, like they don't get that. So it just recently happened with me. I had a TC that I kind of got traded to my team and made it a point to almost like pseudo demand, like, oh well, I assumed I was getting a roster spot. Well, the old adage, like, you assume makes an ass out of you and me. So don't assume anything. Like I got people here that are established, people that have been playing for weeks. They've earned this spot. But I think if you give those types of guys a place where they can go and have more control over their environment, they'll thrive. They'll kind of be quelled a little bit.
Well, that's and like I understand that, and I know myself. I run practices trying to run TC versus roster or a mixed roster TCs. I try and keep my guys active.
Team level is always, and that's also what separates good owners from not good owners. That's kind of the people that.
Oh, exactly. Right. You usually find that out either through the shout box or you get people messaging you, and they're like, and you're trying to stay away from that because, like you said, you don't want to be into other teams' business and stuff. But if you play with players and they're on other teams, they're gonna say something, and some people always find out.
As far as kind of this league goes, I think there's a lot of this. Let's make it like Xbox. Let's get it as close to Xbox. And I think there's almost a kind of a rush to that thing. I'd like to see more of an opportunity, maybe to do things in in the PlayStation side of things that they didn't get to do in the Xbox side of things. Kind of use this as like a testing ground for maybe new work, as opposed to, I know, if it's not broke, don't fix it, but there's nothing wrong with trying new things out, and especially with how young and new the PlayStation side of things is. I think there could be a lot of cues taken there.
Yeah. For sure. I think that's a pretty good idea, but like you said, it's gonna take more than just who we have to do it.
Yeah, you got to find the right people at the right time. I guess, and this isn't me, trying to blast my own horn or anything, but I guess a message to all TCs out there and kind of being in this environment. I started my fucking first season in LG as a TC. That same season, I was an AGM. That same season, I was an owner. So it kind of just depends on the type of person you are, the type of mentality you have. If you want to be a good person, for the rest of your teammates, you have to put team first. You have to treat this like it's an actual sport. You have to kind of take it to heart that it's, you got 16 other guys that are relying on you to put a good team together. You do that, I mean, that's what's going to create. A majority of owners aren't going to stay owners. They're going to want to go to AHL. They're going to want to go to NHL. So it's about kind of, I think, passing the torch, and TCs need to kind of realize that as fucking cheesy as that sounds, like they're the next generation of owners. They're the next generation of people that are going to be influencing this league.
Because I know how it feels to be a TC. I joined halfway through season 5. I was lucky enough to get on a guy's team that I knew, but I don't know how it feels. Like I played on the Broncos for 2 seasons. First season I played half of season 5 as a TC, and then I came back and went to a whole different team. Went way too high for my first full season as a roster, so I was up and down from roster to TC. Went as like a $3 million center, and then found my place back at the Broncos. But being a TC is a hard thing, but if you show that you have the ability and you can cooperate enough, and you show your owner that you're active, is definitely the best way. Also, what I find is
patience.
If you have the patience, and if you're there when, like, TCs, it's hard to say because I know it sucks waiting around, but the best way to get called up onto a roster for sure is waiting there and being the first one to respond, and then show your owner that you can play well in those games. And even if you go up against the toughest team, whatever, but you play the way you play and you communicate and you show your owner that you're trying your best, that's the best way you can do it.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like I started out as
they can't get lost on that. That's the biggest thing. That's what I tell all my TCs. That's why I told my TCs from day one that they got to sign. That I'll do my best to give you every opportunity to prove yourself to me. And as soon as you do, I'm not the type of person that's not going to just sit there and not recognize the fact that, hey, you might be better a guy than I bid on. I'm not. I won't be that type of owner. I want to win. My guys want to win. We want to win. So if you join my team and you're a TC, you outplay one of my roster guys, guess what? Like, you're going to get a call up.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. That's how my owner and I have made our team this year. We've already called up a few TCs in regards, just for that matter, that fact that you're putting out there, Rake, that he outplayed and showed initiative. So now he's on the roster.
I can play with that.
I did it last season. Like, when I took over Sudbury last year, they were a complete fucking pile of burning shit. Like it was 9 and 24 and 13. Like it was nuts. Like these guys, and I had to scramble the entire season. I'm scrambling. And all I did, I'm plugging and playing TCs. I'm listening. It's the first thing I did when I jumped into that team. I was like, who wants to play? Whoever responded, guess what? I gave him a roster spot. I didn't care. I know that's kind of a different situation from like the norm, but it's you know, that opportunity exists. Like I got a bunch of good guys. A guy that I brought up off TC last season, Touch My Duff. So I, giving a shout out to this guy. But he came in and he scored, I don't know, 11 goals, fucking 7 assists. He had 18 points in 3 games. This is a guy that was sitting under the previous management, rotting on TC, never given the opportunity. So I look at a guy like that. Now he's in the AHL. Like the very next season, the guy's in the AHL. So it's there. The possibility of it's there. Just you got to be there day in and day out. And it all comes down to good management structure, having the people there with you. I got one of my, I've met some of my best friends here. Like one of my best friends, Mav, he's my GM. He's my this dude's my confidant. If you get somebody that's there with you and understands kind of what you want to proliferate, TCs are gonna have a great chance. We took it to heart. We wanted to have the best guys playing, and that's, I think, the mentality that all owners and management need to have.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. My owner, Just Cause, it's his first year being an owner. It's my first year being a full-time GM. Did a little bit last year. And I totally agree with you on that mentality of owner and GMs need to go in with, we want a winning team, however it takes, whether it be, calling up, a whole bunch of TCs, 1 or 2 TCs. Myself, last season during the World Junior Championships, I spent the whole time on TC, so I know what it's like to sit there on TC and do nothing.
Yeah, no, I understand that too. Especially this, I've actually taken the approach of trying to include TC players into as many games as possible, because I do have a good cupboard of TC players that I know can take roster spots, but I also have players who deserve roster spots as well. So I've left a couple spots open till the playoffs start to bring in TC players, because I do have that kind of depth to look at. So it's nice this season. I've never had that before in the last few seasons of ownership.
Yeah, like when you guys said how you guys sat on TC during World Juniors or whatever, I know how that feels. It ended up happening to me. Like I said, last season I was $3 million center, and signed up for goalie because I finished in goalie last season in the CHL with the Broncos. And didn't get picked up. Tried my hardest, and then I ended up, just before the thing started, I changed my position to center, and but I was still on TC. I don't even think I might have played 1 game ECU for it, but it definitely doesn't matter if you're. I've seen more guys last season that were TCs that got drafted in World Juniors because they shown and just playing drop-ins with their owners and that, and then doing scouting games, which is a big thing that you got to do. Is if you want to try and make a roster in your TC right now, definitely keep on doing the TC games and do World Juniors, and just do the scouting games for World Juniors and that, because it just helps, because if you just sit back and just be like, I'm a TC, it doesn't matter, then that's going to be the way kind of your owner treats you. It doesn't matter, you're just a TC. But if you show you want to mean something, you show you're wanting to play, then the owner, I know myself, where I am a GM, I definitely love playing with the TCs. Like that's the main reason why I did the TC. I'm doing the TC stuff this season. There's there's a lot of guys that I've played with in the TC games that definitely have talent that they could definitely be on a roster spot, but just not there because either their team's doing really well in their seasons and they don't want to take the chance of anything happening, but there's always a chance to because players end up not being able to play for that or have to go on IR, and especially when a player goes on IR, they definitely want to have somebody who kind of suits the best. But another thing is I had a lot of guys on the Ramparts who we called up from TC. There's one. I think we only have one now. We traded some of them away for other guys, but no, we got two. We got a defenseman and that, and but yeah, for sure, TCs are the most important this season. I find because I just always found TCs are definitely important. They help you out a lot, especially with practices. Because I know there's been guys on my team that necessarily can't be there right away, and it's definitely great to have TCs there to want to fill in and help you still get those warm-up games in, because it's good to have. Dave, you got anything to say?
No, I just have to agree with you. I think our TC roster itself speaks for itself. We have a lot of TCs that are very, very active. Another thing is we had a TC goalie that's now on our roster that basically stepped it up. He's pretty solid. I think he's just as good as myself in net, and we have a forward TC that plays pretty well. But at the end of the day, like I said, all of our TCs are very active. They're all willing to partake in whatever it is we need them for, whether it's warm-ups, practices, scrimmage games between the roster players on our team. But yeah, no, I believe the TCs just need to stay active and just show ownership that you guys are interested, and your time will come.
And they also want to really feel part of the team too, especially if the team's winning, they want to feel that they're part of a winning club and stuff. Or even if they're losing, they want to be part of that team mentality to overcome what's hurting them or whatever. TCs really want to be a part of the team, and the more that we can involve them as members of the team, it really goes a long way. Because you really want to make especially guys who are new to the league, you want to make a good first impression because they have no idea what they've stepped into other than playing hockey, but they don't understand the logistics of it.
Yes, I can say something about that. There's one guy on my team, and he's on roster now. We end up calling him up during this week. He's played 6 games, 1 TC game, and 5 games with our team. But this is his first season ever of even entering league. But he was always there when we needed a TC, like on the spot. We knew if we needed him, even for those late 10:30 games on Wednesday, and we needed him, he was there. He was always like the first one to respond out of our TCs. He's always on to practice. And that's one thing about our TCs. Our TCs just love to practice, and definitely some of them got talent on our team. It's hard to pick between TCs and guys that have been around the league a little bit more, and that. But I know there's I've even just watching the TC games, I've seen some guys who definitely haven't played league, but the TC games, those stats are definitely talking for them with their prospect status, and I think that's the most important is where where the TC games show up for stats. I think that definitely is going to help them, even if they don't necessarily get any roster games, just when they get scouting done.
And a big
Owners
thing
have
with that
something to
too.
look at.
Yeah, because the big thing is because this season they adjusted the games played for the CHL from the fifth or the status anyway from 15 to 48. So it really helps TCs get exposure so that they can start making those roster games.
Yeah, so they can. Yeah, that's another thing that's definitely a change for some of the guys where they have to play 48 CHL games to get there. But yeah, Rat, are you good now? Yeah.
The biggest thing for a TC too is get out there, get exposed. You know, like reach out to your owner, reach out to your GM, try to get games in on your Discord, talk to your guys. You know, get as many games in as you can with them. And then once they notice that you're active and if you're a good player, they're gonna throw you in games. Me as an owner, I have a few times now where I gave up my third game for a TC. You know, I want to see him in an actual game, so I'll give up my third game and I'll see what you got. And if some players perform, some players don't, but it's a good way to get checked out. I already had to move up one of my TCs to roster because I put him in for one of my games and he just dominated, and he's been dominating all year, so I decided to move up TC. So you just gotta keep reaching out, keep on trying to get to that next level and get known.
I think that's the most important thing for TCs to know is if they reach out and talk to their owner, that they know that they're wanted there, and that their owner wants to get them in as much as they can, but there's only 9 games, and with having
what
roster guys
made it back.
made it back.
The biggest thing that would benefit like new TCs and even late late signups, or even like when you sign up for the league, like I can't honestly remember like when I fucking signed up, but something that directs you to an immediate page, something outside of the rule book, because like you go to the rule book, and even as an owner, like I look at the rule book and I'm like, son of a bitch, like this is a lot to kind of take in. Like unless you want to be like dedicated to it, and like no, a guy that's just here to play isn't gonna just show up and read through all those rules. Owners, GMs, AGMs, like maybe like they got a little bit more want or need to have to do that. But if there was something that gave like a brief synopsis, like here's like 10 quick tips. You're joining the league. Here, this is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. Like a quick rundown. I don't, I'm not a coder. I'm not anything like that. I'm a military guy, so I'm not all that kind of stuff's kind of lost on me. But if there was a way to kind of pop that up, like on sign up, like to the page, I mean, what? I think that would help. I mean, just let guys know, like here, this is exactly what you need to do, even before we get to like red blue games or setting up a TC league or anything like that. Something that just immediately
like a checklist of some sort.
I think there's
something that immediately says, "Hey, do this, and you're going to be better off in this league."
Yeah. I think on the forums, LG McDonald actually put something in like that.
Because I think that'd be beneficial. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but even when I took over the team, and I was like, I'm talking to people like Kurt Peanut Butter and Rock Gosu and who the hell else ever in kind of the hierarchy, and they're like, yeah, go over the rule book. I look at the rule book, I'm like, this is a lot to digest. This is a lot for me to have to know as an owner. I can't imagine some just a guy that just signed up, even God forbid it's a late sign up. They're not going to look at it. They're not going to know what to expect. And in the CHL, we're in an interesting position. We're the what we're supposed to be the funnel, right? We're supposed to be the ones that are breeding and creating an environment that increases LG, right? Like we're the first step. Like you go from here and you can work your way up. But I think there needs to be an extra amount of attention paid to CHL. This is what people start in. And I don't. I'm not saying that there isn't a good system set up for it. I'm not saying that it's not a great experience overall, but I think there's certain things that can be done that will have more turnover, that will have more retention for some of these new guys. Because there's a bunch of guys that still, they just won't come and play LG just because they kind of know like the disorganization. They feel like they're going to kind of get lost in the entire process of it. And I've had conversations with people about that. People that I've tried to recruit myself, and I'm like, hey, come play LG, and they're like, no, it's it's just too much for me to actually have to kind of commit to. And at the end of the day, it's 3 games of NHL a week if you make a roster, 2 if you make a TC. So in the scope of things, it's not that much of a commitment, but just because it's so much of an unknown, they perceive it as a really big commitment.
Yeah, I think it's having like kind of a layout for the TCs and all that, and everyone. The rule book is, I've had to look over it a lot.
It's a dry read.
This
it's
season.
A dry read.
Like I tell you, I've read over rules multiple of times and told to go look at them again.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you could.
And it's just an ongoing thing, just because.
Throw a rock. You can throw a rock in any direction when you're asking about a ruling in the rule book and get 4 different answers.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
It's like we're going to. I got a game that was last night. It says in the rules, no diving, no diving in the offensive zone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it states that in the rule book, which it says you can only dive in a defensive zone, and when you're in your own zone, then you can dive, but you can't lay down for 3 seconds, no longer than 3 seconds. So, when you're in the offensive zone, you can't dive. So
Yeah, no
I
matter
talked
what.
to a Bog about that last night, and he goes, "It doesn't state that in the rule book." I said, "Yeah, it does. It says right there in the rule book that no diving in the offensive zone."
And
So,
that comes back. That kind of comes full circle to how necessarily the rule book itself is set up. You pay attention to these minute things like, oh, you can't lay down for 3 seconds in the offensive zone. Not like you break down these like really tiny kind of 9 times out of 10 people aren't even going to do shit. Like they're not going to say anything about it. They're not going to put an action complaint. I think if you took away like these extreme minor details and you gave it a broader overlay,
right,
especially for the CHL. I mean, I understand.
I get that for the NHL, to be honest. Like if you're playing up in the NHL, because I can say that because I played 2 games in the NHL when I was last season. I ECU'd for them. It's a giant. From being CHL roster player and playing 2 ECU games for an NHL team. It's a huge jump. They even playing club with them. I play club with a couple of the guys now, but they have a whole different mindset up there. It's definitely you cycle the puck a lot more up there. Is in the CHL. You see there's some guys, especially on the top teams in the OHL and all that literally could go through your whole team, just them. You don't see many guys from the NHL do that in LGHL at all. On PSN, most of them, like the only way to get around them is you got to communicate. And
there's so much passing going on in the AHL and the NHL. It's all passing. There's no skating up with the puck.
Because
like
you'll get shut down every time.
I would agree. Because during warm-ups we've played a couple LG NHL teams and we've beaten them by cycling the puck and that kind of thing. You just gotta
beat them at their game.
Exactly.
Moving up and you play a game or 2 up there and you come back down and there's a big difference, but definitely the crisp passing is a big, a whole different hockey game, even for the goalies.
Yeah, I can tell you, the 2 games that I played, I play a lot better at wing now. I used to strictly only play like goalie or center, but when I played those 2 games at up in the NHL for wing, they definitely pointed me in the right direction of how to kind of like, you see it more once you play up with those guys or like even talk to them, because they point you in the right direction. Like there's there's just there some of the guys, like, because I played with, I think it was 2 games with Buffalo, and they point, all guys try, and I know there's even guys on, well, there's a guy on my team, Mick Googles. He was sent
Unbelievable
down.
goalie.
He was sent down from the AHL, and the first thing he said was being down in the CHL is weird compared to, because you don't watch for those passing plays as much anymore. You watch for the goalie kind of looks at the stats and kind of sees who they think's gonna go around the team, and like dangle around the whole team and go for the shot. And that is definitely a thing I find in CHLs. There's a lot more guys trying to basically, it's, I only need to be the one guy on the ice type thing, which isn't always the way, but there's definitely a couple of those guys who think that they could definitely go through a whole 6 guys, which even if you watch anything, if you cycle the puck or just outsmart the other team, especially if a TC comes in and they show that they have that like in their head that what they got to do is just play their game, don't worry about how they play their game, and you play it the way you do it, and you'll come out with a better outcome than if you went in and then you turned your game to go play the way that they play it. Because when you switch up your game style and you don't take practice or time to rechange your play style, especially if you were TC and then you're trying to change and play exactly how the guys on the line that you're playing with, I found you got to mix kind of the way that they play and the way that you play, and you got to kind of make it so it works together. Especially if you're a TC, because you're going to get thrown with, you can be thrown with a very good line, a line that doesn't, like a line that's very good at communicating and passing the puck. Maybe you could be thrown on a line that they don't communicate as much. They just tell you got to pass to this guy and he's our guy that we go to. Or there's just a line that they pass, but they just don't communicate. And that's one hard thing definitely for TC is you're going to be thrown with a whole bunch of different groups of guys, not just one solid line, where if you're a roster player, there's most likely solid lines, which is definitely, I can tell you, one of the hardest things for a TC to do, or anybody being thrown with a brand new group of guys is a hard thing to do. And
going back on the difference of the CHL and the AHL, last season I played the whole season in the AHL, and then coming back down this season, I had at least 4 or 5 games I needed to just readjust. There is a big difference just of passing and then the guys covering people and stuff like that. There's just a big difference. But then you go up to the NHL, that's even another step up from the AHL, where people are just, they don't make mistakes up there.
Exactly.
if you do, it's known. It's known really fast, and
it's
if you don't
costly
solve
too.
it, if you don't own up to what you did or whatever, I bet you there's, and you're on roster, there's a lot more things that your owner would probably say or try and get you to do, like to work on your game, than they would worry about in the CHL if you were to make that exact same mistake.
And it's costly too up there. Any mistakes made, the puck's going to go back in the back of your net, no matter what.
Because the teams up there definitely react a lot faster. Like they're waiting for that mistake to be made. There's some teams in the CHL that do that, but you definitely realize it more in the AHL and NHL, where it really costs you. And I find if even if TCs watch those games, it can help them build their game, because then they're seeing how they work up there, and they can kind of, that's what I did. I watched some of my guys play, and that's what I like to do. And sometimes is get, when my TCs plays or whatever, just get somebody to stream the game and watch how they play and see how they work together and if they communicate or not. Because in any league, for sure, I think communication is definitely key. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I find if you don't have communication, it's hard to make anything happen.
Oh, exactly. Communication on and off the ice and in your team chats and stuff. It's nice having that guys talking to each other, trying to build that confidence.
And running games before, like running some practice games before your actual LG games is huge. You know, you get that little chemistry back up.
So I have a 50-50 take on this, and I'm not sure if it's just because of skepticism or maybe I have like a little bit of a rabbit foot syndrome. But anytime I've actually practiced with any of my lines right before an LG game, we've completely shit the fucking bed.
I agree with you on that one.
Yes,
I can disagree.
Especially with me playing that.
Well, no,
Like
I honestly think it's because 90% of the time you're like, let's go club. We're gonna go club. We'll play club, and then the next thing you know, you're drawn down on an NHL team that's thinking the exact same thing because they have a game in 45 minutes, and then you're getting your shit pushed in 6 ways from Sunday, and it's you go into it. Well, you go into it and like it kills it. Like the motivation's done. Like everyone's like, man, we just took an ass whooping. Like we don't want to be a part of it. My team like this week, it was pretty brutal. I mean,
I don't know myself the way that my team does it. We've gotten our asses kicked by NHL teams a few times, but we look at it as a positive, not a negative. So the way that we look at it is, okay, you know, we feel that you know, we can be any team. You know, and with getting an ass kicking, we look at it and go back and say, you know, what could we have done better? What could we have done differently? What didn't we do? Kind of thing. And
taking over that aspect. I mean, again, that's being a good owner, being good management. I mean, and trust me, I've had plenty of pep talks with guys after hard losses, and it kind of comes down to it. You can't get in everybody's head, right? You can't.
Oh, exactly.
You can't affect everybody on that.
no, I totally agree.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
I
but
know.
you know,
some-
some days you get some days that you just want to go in there and, you know, you want to practice with the guys.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't know what's going to happen, you know. But then if you
exactly.
like me, when I start playing, the days that I got to play, I'd rather play cold than come in and already warmed up because I think I play better.
Yeah.
You know, but the people are different. You know, people are different. They want to.
Different.
They
I mean,
want to play. You know.
different folks, absolutely. But I also think it's. I think if you create an environment where you're playing on a regular basis with all your guys anyway, like all of my management, there isn't a single one of my either me or my managers that aren't on every single day with guys that are on our team playing. Period.
Right.
Every single day. And
Agreed.
that's TCs, that's roster. I mean, that's the whole boat. Like there is somebody on for my team every day willing to fucking put up 6, if not more. I mean, there's days that we'll do 6-on-6 scrimmages, right? I mean, just because of you create an environment where guys want to show up and play and be involved, then they're going to.
Well, exactly. I know exactly where you're coming from. Like I've got a team practice running right now while I'm doing this chat here. I got that all orchestrated and going, and teams or TCs and rosters are excited to be a part of it.
I'm playing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm playing in a team practice right now while I'm doing this.
Well, yeah, so am I. I'm actually playing up against I'm playing up against the NHL team right now.
I just finished playing goalie.
I'm just sitting on the phone, just doing the chat here.
I'm playing with
I'm rocking that practice mode.
Hot
1v1
shit.
against the goalie.
I'm playing with my my guys, and the entire time I'm not sure. I have my video up. I'm pretty sure video is disabled, but I have these assholes in my ear chirping me up right now.
No, we can see you.
Mhm.
I had mine up for a minute, but the way I got my phone, I had to put it down, so I can't hold my phone and hold the controller, you know.
No.
But yeah, it's,
everyone wants a shout out. It's great.
yeah.
Well, shout out to all the teams practicing tonight then.
Yeah,
Yeah, straight up.
I'm just running that
No,
practice
but I
with the
think-
one against the goalie.
I think that's definitely the best way to do it is definitely practice on the off nights. That's what I tell all the guys on my team is I'm on every day. Always message in the Discord, trying to get guys on.
And
Exactly.
that's
Like,
where
I'm
it
on
comes
every
down to, Armada, for instance. I was on his team, Rat's team last year, last season, and we had those top teams that were in the queue, and I totally believe that all those teams that are in the top, whether it's the Q, the W, the O, it's those teams that
They're
are in the
always
top.
practicing.
They're always practicing, and those are the teams that are always in the top 5. Top whatever in whatever league you're in, and that's what we're trying to address to all our players. They're always on every single day, whether it's game night, not game night, always trying to get drops, whatever the case may be.
And I like running practices and club games and stuff on the off days too, because it's a different mentality. You can take that step back. It's not an LG game. You're not having to put that little extra pressure to get those 2 points. You can just sit back, relax, joke around. If you have a bad game or two, you can fix that, and it's not really costing you anything in the long run in LG. But
I
they
find
really like that mentality where it's fun but still competitive. They can relax and just play, and then you get to really see their style.
because I find definitely especially with those guys who are just like freshly new to LG and they're used to kind of like maybe playing like a little more relaxed, and guys kind of aren't like we need to do this to win type thing. Like they're kind of just
And
like they only play that, and then I know for myself that was one of the things. Like I was like, well, I play with some of these guys that are on my team. Like outside of it, they think I'm pretty good, but then when you go into league, it switches everything around because your play style changes because you feel like you make that one mistake, you don't want to be the one who's blamed for it,
Turn the
right?
game over.
Like
And you get to really
nobody ever wants to be the one who's blamed for, oh, this is why your team's losing, or you never. And like I find one thing I find teams especially go to first thing when a mistake is made or a bad turnover, someone happening, a goal was scored. I find a lot of teams go straight to either oh, it was the goalie, or oh, it was the defense's fault,
The good
or
old defense fault, yeah.
and they never
that's-
take the forwards turned it over, and the defense might have been a little bit out of position, but they
Or
weren't
center not covering
expecting
that spot, yeah.
At the end of the
they
day,
weren't expecting the
I think
turnover.
what everyone needs to remember at the end of the day, whether this is a video game hockey or real hockey or any organized sport, it's a team effort.
Exactly. I was just going to say that.
exactly.
You can have finger pointers all day. You can have people pissing and moaning about one position or the other, but guess what? That your 6 is out there. Your 6 won it, or your 6 lost it. Period.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
win as a team, you lose as a team.
And that's
I
how
can't
our
stress
mentality.
more about that at all. You like you can't win it by yourself, and another thing is you can't win it if you. One thing that I know, especially in other leagues, I don't see it as much as I do in other leagues that I've been in. I strictly mostly just play LG and VG sometimes, and I did do an SHL this season. But one thing I find is a lot of guys do buddy teams in other leagues or whatever. But I believe if you have a full team made up of buddies or whatever that you always play with or whatever,
It won't make it for us.
you're not buddies and friends don't make you winners in a championship. You're not gonna. I don't think you can necessarily with the whole teams of guys that you're good friends with or whatever. They're not gonna get you to the point where you want to be.
Yeah. No, exactly. And it's usually, especially when you throw the competitiveness of the league in, it starts to like your buddies and stuff now, but then through the season it might not work that way and stuff. And like playing with the guys on the off days, it also helps you as an owner and get to know the player and stuff. You get to chat with them and you get a feel for it and create that kind of team or a family environment, because you include them and you feel a little bit better inclined to maybe get them into a game or use them or whatever.
And having a buddy team, it makes it just that much harder if you have to trade someone, because it's just not, the line's not meshing, so you have to make a trade. Makes it a
And you
lot
don't want your
harder,
buddy to
right?
be mad at you or
Unless
you
you're-
don't
Yeah,
want
no,
to play with
exactly,
you
yeah.
anymore.
Unless you're Clap, that dude traded his brother. He doesn't give a shit about anything.
That is next level savage right there.
like another one. There's like if you look at the Broncos.
Worried about your team, don't be. I traded my brother today. I was like, fucking word.
I was like another team. If you look at it, the I don't know how this is working, but the Broncos, for an example, Turtles and Bail Money. So the GM and AGM, they're brothers. To be honest, I would never want. I don't know. Depends on how they are with each other, but personally, I don't think I would want my brother to be management with me. Because
I don't know, because I would have
brothers
to go over there and choke his eyeballs out.
exactly, exactly.
You know?
That's the thing,
I mean,
right? Like,
there's been a bunch of these, and I think this kind of comes down to, you know, I know there's a big push to be, you know, having more teams filling the management roles and all this, and I'm not trying to fucking, you know, knock on anybody that makes those decisions, but it seems like, especially this season, there's been a lot of downturn with all that. I mean, you look at the Otters, like that team self-destructed. Like that, they had their owner was brand new. They had a guy that didn't show up for like one game, and all of a sudden he's banned. They lose their GM. Like they're going through a whole kind of
a tough time. Like that's the hardest thing, because
There's
I
no
know for a
experience,
fact,
right?
yeah, going into a league like never owning an LG or like being around that much in LG definitely makes it hard.
Well, that's
Especially with all the new guys and with position lock. That was another new thing that was hard.
Wow, that
Definitely
was
this
huge.
season was
Yeah, that was a
position
big
lock,
change.
because you had to really focus in on your scouting games and who you really wanted, because you can't be like, oh well, this guy plays practice in goalie and he's pretty good, so I want to put him in goalie this game.
No.
There's no more of that, right? So
Yeah,
it
right.
makes it definitely you have to
more
put a
70-point
lot more
goalies.
time into. Especially, I spent a lot more time at scouting goalies and defense than I did forwards.
Oh yeah.
well, that's just like Owen Sound. Right now, they their owners and their owner quit on them. Just go I think it was last week, and the owner
Owen
quit.
Sound, really?
Was that
Yeah, the owner quit for that. Yeah, and
was that
you know
Coop
the GM and
with him?
the GM didn't know what he was doing, so they got
Oh,
two.
my.
Now their
Pretty
GM
much gonna-
they're trying to figure out what's going on here. I mean,
Hey, I've
Aztec,
been thrown in that fire. That's savage. Like I was literally traded to the Wolves last season. 24 hours later, they're like, "Hey, do you want to be the owner?" I was like, "Well, shit."
yeah, because I mean, some of these people don't know what the hell they're doing because like I said, Owen Sound, you got Aztec over there. He's a GM and he has no clue what's going on. You know, I mean, he's coming to me for some things how to do this.
I think definitely having your owner quit would definitely most likely be a hard thing to do with anyone.
Oh,
Being left there and having to kind of make all the decisions is a hard thing to do, right? Like,
it's not easy.
I know even just being management at all, is definitely you definitely got to make sure you have the time to commit to it, because if you don't, because
That's
there's
my management. They're a bunch of lazy motherfuckers.
there's some guys that would just sit there and be like,
I'm the exact opposite.
it's happening.
Yeah, I lucked out. I have slow death march. He's been doing it for 5 seasons now. So
Fog Devil.
I've been doing this since season. I've been doing this since season 5, and I own the team Armada since season 5. It does get a little warm up here. How some of these players are, and then you get GMs are like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. It's like season 5, I had a GM that totally just didn't want to do nothing. So, all right, you don't want to do nothing, so screw you, get the hell out of here.
Well,
quit the damn game.
It comes back to making those connections, though, right? Like, that's why I'm kind of going full circle here. But you bring it back to, like, you have this introductory message about these are the people you should contact. These are the people that know shit. These are the people that don't know shit. I mean, I don't know exactly what to put on the list, but like I met a lot of good people. I had extended conversations with people like Rock Gosu, Kurt Peanut Butter, Go Blues. These are people like when I took over a team, they're like, hey, and even you, Rat, even when I took over the Sub Air Wolves last season, you even sent me a message and you said, hey man, like if there's anything you need help with, let me know. There needs to be those type of people that like who to talk to, who is going to put you on the right path.
We need more routes.
I know for a fact if I can't even understand things, if I can't get a hold of Rock or anyone, and I can't quite understand a rule, I go to first guy I go to is I don't even know how many times, but I've had Rat explain even one word out of the rule book that he changes clears the whole rule up. Like literally, it's someone can change one word and you can understand the whole thing. And it's just like those owners that are willing to help other management is just what's going to help everything grow. If you have other people that are willing to help other teams, management does help them if like they can't get a hold of somebody or something. And that I think it's great because having those guys to help people helps out the whole league.
It's like the other night, I had Red Deer Rebels owner or GM, one of the two. He didn't know how to put stats in, and he was trying to ask me, how do I use the OCR? I said, you don't have to use the OCR. I said, you got the pictures and everything? He said, yeah. I said, all right, well, I'm going to show you how to use the API because he's never entered them. So I said, okay, well, we're going to do the API system. It's a lot easier. So after I taught him that, it was like, he goes, man, this is a heck of a lot easier trying to put manual stats in. I said, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Remember last.
And that's why I come to you for everything, Rat.
They're there for a reason.
I'm a rat in the house.
Yeah, we need more people.
I guess that's why they call him Grandpa around the place. I guess I don't know. Mike Yakum started that crap, so it's fun and all. I mean, I guess make them all happy,
you do.
I mean, you just gotta have fun with it, and it's like I get Paul. I think it's Paul Diddy or something like that. He asked me the other day. I said, "Why did you change your name?" I said, "It's just something because everybody's been, they call me this all the time. Why not have some fun with it?
That's the main thing. You gotta have fun while you're doing it, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah. We're still professional, but let's have some fun with it too.
Yeah. Hey, if you can't come here, like we all obviously enjoy playing this game, right?
Exactly.
You can't come here and create an environment for everyone to play the game.
Yeah, sometimes I mean there's certain days that you just like to grab a hold of the EA system or get a hold of EA and just tell them off and everything the way they made this game, but we got to deal with it.
I've had a situation this week. I'm going to go on the record saying I've been getting.
So hopefully EA's listening.
So I had 2 games this week. Right? We had one against Guelph where we took an ass whooping 8-2, and at the end of that game, and it was all like guys that it's not like new guys. These are all guys I play with. I said in the chat, I was like, "You're all fucking traded. We're done."
That sounded like Action Dave last night. Action Dave, whatever happened over there.
Yeah, he was like, my whole team's gone.
Oh man!
No, they've been chirping me the entire time I've been on this. They're like, "Hey, tell them everyone's traded. Tell them everyone's traded. Say it. Go ahead, say it. Say it.
Yeah, it's.
But it happens. I
But,
mean,
you know.
same shit. I mean, like, and it, you know, we spent a whole lot of time on TCs today, but I think we could spend an equal amount of time on EA bending us over and giving us the raw dog.
Oh, true enough.
Oh, boy.
True enough.
Oh yeah, for sure. You could go on for days about how EA wants to fuck you over.
NHL 19 and having an esports thing. I'm really hoping they make the improvements. I'm tired of having non-dedicated servers. I'm gonna post the guy with the shittiest connection going into the challenge clubs. We get flag out. Blow me.
How much time we got left of this?
Right. That sounds
I think that's it.
We need a part 2. We need a part 2 on that.
We got 3 minutes left there, right?
All right. Yeah, it's all good, you know. I mean, you know, with the TCs and everything, you know, teaching them. I mean, that's a good thing for them, the red and blue games plus the tournament and all that, you know. I think it's a good thing that they're doing it between Brad and NBA.
Overall, I really like the experience that you guys are trying to bring in, especially trying to involve and evolve the league with the TC games and tourneys. And I really hope you guys keep it up and good luck with that. I really enjoy the TC involvement in it.
I think it's going awesome right now too. We're getting lots of support from everybody, so
yeah,
thank everybody that's supporting it too.
Yeah, I know for the tournament, the TC tournaments, I've had a lot of owners come to me and tell me that their TCs love having that tournament. Like, they love looking forward at the end of the week. They didn't get any. Say if they didn't get any games, they know that they're getting games Friday night. And
it's a good way to find out. Like, maybe you have a hidden gem that you don't even know in a TC. You know, like,
exactly.
Oh man, this guy deserves a roster spot for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of hidden gems, that's where I reiterate back to the TC goalie that we actually called up, I think, in week 2. Is one of those TCs that is a hidden gem. He's standing on his head. Choku is basically he's up there with the goalies that have been, you know, either veteran goalies or rookie goalies like myself who played a season or two. He's holding it down for us when, you know, he needs to be there.
Yeah, for sure. But one last thing I want to talk about before we end the show, because we're gonna end it after this. Is like I said about those guys who especially haven't played the league at all. There's one guy where it just reminded me because you were talking about a TC goalie that you called up or whatever. The starting goalie on my team, Omega. This is first season of LG.
Yeah, I know. I was bidding on him against you guys.
And did you? Yeah. And then we went straight to 2.5 mil or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was a good goalie in the TC tryouts and stuff.
Oh yeah, and he's doing well. He's our starting goalie. And then McGoogle's his backup. He's doing well. He's 12-10-1 right now in his first season.
I've played lots of games with McGoogles. McGoogle is an unbelievable goalie. Phenomenal back there.
McGoogle is right now, he is 4-2-1 right now for our team. But I think that's good enough for the show this time. Thank you guys all for coming.
Shout out.
Thank you.
Besides, I lagged out, but it was all good. But good luck to everybody in the rest of the season too. You know.
Yeah, you too,
good
Rob.
luck to everybody in all the leagues.
For sure.
Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday night there, Kootenai.
Will do.
We'll see you there, Mr. Rampart, guys.
I got Kootenai Sunday night.
Guys in here so I can talk some shit. It's no fun.
That's the thing too. You got to be able to take some trash talk if you're gonna become an owner or GM.
My biggest thing is I stay out of the shout box. I don't even get involved. It's probably because I'm fucking 30.
It's the smartest thing to do.
I
Big
get
shout
too
out
much
to
involved in it.
Sips for streaming this for us.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yes.
this is solid. This is a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, no, definitely.